Cozy houses are my absolute favorite thing to build in Minecraft, so today I'm challenging myself to make 20 of them. Along with that, I'll be doing some much needed upgrades to my world, such as building an AFK platform for my gunpowder farm, and finally setting up a proper nether hub. 20 houses is a lot though, so we better get started and build our first one. And the good thing is, I already have the perfect spot picked out back here inside of our harbor expansion. And check this out, I already got together 6 shulker boxes worth of materials, which combined are gonna allow us to make the first 5 houses. Anyway, let's get to building, and for this first one, I thought we could make the foundation out of this dead tube coral and cobblestone, which makes an awesome combination. There we go, I got all that in place. I built it up about like 5 blocks tall, and you can see I left a bunch of holes for some windows as well as a door. And maybe let's just start off with the door by doing a couple of trapdoors at the top, and then we can do our actual doors below that. And since we have some upside down stairs here, it just creates that really nice archway design. As for this little hole right there, let's hop inside, and I want to do an oak trapdoor for the actual window itself. And then back on the outside, let's just do a trapdoor to create a shutter. That's looking pretty good, I think, and we have these other holes at the back of the house, and I was thinking we could switch these ones up by doing some copper grates. So we'll do the exact same thing for this one, just some copper grates again, and we can even get extra crazy with it, tear a couple of these out and replace them with these exposed copper grates, just to add a tiny bit of texture variation. And since these grates are inset by 1 block, we can place some flower pots on these ledges, and I want to fill them in with some cornflowers. I feel like the contrasting color of the blue and like the orange from the grates just looks really nice. And I think that's pretty much the first floor done, so let's get started on the second floor by first doing some upside down stairs, and in between those, some slabs. And we can do pretty much the exact same thing on the side, a couple of stairs and 3 slabs. And to bring a lot of color into this one, I want to try building up the rest of the second floor walls with a bunch of yellow blocks in the form of concrete powder, bamboo, and wool. And with that block palette figured out, I built up the rest of the walls, added a few windows, and capped the whole thing off with a deep slate roof. And check this thing out, for our first house of this video, I think we are absolutely cooking. Also, if you're noticing all this weird stuff around me, I have a bunch of Halloween mobs trapped in here, like we have Sir Bobbington over here. What's up, dude? Not very nice of you to steal my dirt block. I guess I'm gonna have to patch this back up with some moss. Also, we definitely have to dedicate one of these houses to Sir Bobbington, you know, build him a proper interior, but that'll be later in this video. As for right now, I just wanted to add one final detail to this first house, and that's some leaves on top of the roof. As you can see, I did something very similar to our tavern that we built in the last video, so I thought we could do the same thing for this one. And I think just the combination of the oak leaves plus moss looks really good, and the nice thing about the moss is that you can place some short grass on top, which just adds a bit more detail. But with that, I'm finally happy to call this first house done, so let's get started on the second one, which I want to build right here. For this one, I went with mud bricks and packed mud for the foundation, and then for the second floor, I used a block that I always forget to use, and that's acacia, but in this case, I think it actually looked really good. However, I didn't want the block palette to get too crazy, so for the roof, I just went with some good old spruce. I am absolutely loving this house already, but I just wanted to add a few final details, for example, some red mushrooms in front of the windows. And you might have also noticed this large hole in the wall, and that's because I want to add a door here, and I thought this could be a perfect opportunity to use some of the new shelves. Usually I just use trapdoors, but you can see these shelves have a slightly different texture, which just makes it a little bit more interesting. I mean, these pillagers must think it's pretty interesting if they decided to join the party. Get out of here, guys. Let me build in peace, please. You guys too, get in the water. Get out of here, get in the water. Goodbye. Even this Halloween skeleton's giving me a hard time. Please, let me build. Getting back to it though, there was just one more thing I wanted to add, and that's a chimney, and I think we can make a pretty simple one just using some tough and mossy cobblestone. So let's just come up a little bit higher, probably right here is good, and then we can do a tough wall and a flower pot to cap the whole thing off. And there we go, I think I'm pretty happy with that chimney design. Also, just ignore this massive hole in the wall, that's on purpose, as I want all of these houses to be side by side, so building it like this is gonna allow us to build the next one flush up against it. But already, just having 2 houses in here is making this area feel so much more immersive, like it just frames our tavern there as well. Oh, this is so cool. And just think, we have 18 more houses to build. This entire region over here is going to be completely unrecognizable by the end of this video. I guess that means we should get back to work then, so let's build up house number 3. And since the first 2 houses we made were kind of on the smaller side, I decided to go all out for this next one and make it quite a bit bigger. As for the block palette, I think it's a super fun one. The foundation is made out of deep slate and smooth basalt. The walls, I went for pink using cherry, concrete powder, and terracotta. And then for the roof, I went with one of my favorite block palettes, dark oak. I really like how these first two houses came out, but I'm not gonna lie, this third one might be my favorite so far. There was a few more things I wanted to do to spice it up though, the first of which is adding some kind of trapdoors around these windows just to make them look a little bit fancier. So I'll do the exact same thing over here, a couple of spruce trapdoors and then some dark oak ones on the inside. Also, I just had to point out that for this door, I used more of the shelves, this time the dark oak ones, but the backside of them just looks so good for this door texture. Oh, I'm so in love with it. And taking a look at the back of the build, I added this really intricate window design. It's a little bit hard to see, so let me just place down some scaffolding. I used a bunch of the pale oak, which looks really good, and then for the windows themselves, I just used more of the oak trapdoors, but I just wanted to hop on here and add a few flower pots. And then let's just fill those in with some of the warped fungus. And there we go, that's a pretty nice window design if I do say so myself. I still feel like this back wall is a little bit flat though, so I thought we could add a bit more depth to it by including a chimney, and just to switch it up a little bit from this one that we have over here, let's use some granite mixed with bricks. I might even get a bit of the polished granite in here too, you know, why not? And then to cap the whole thing off, let's do an upside down granite stair, break this block, and then we can do an upside down brick stair. Let's just take a step back, and yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And as you can see, I have definitely used this shape before to build a chimney in my world, but you know what? It looks good, so why not use it again? I gotta be real for a second though, these Halloween mobs are driving me absolutely crazy. I just want to see if I can get them a little bit further away from our build site so they'll stop shooting me. Let's also try to get these guys a little bit further away if I can too. Hopefully he doesn't kill my zombie. I think he might. Oh, he's not? Okay, that's good. Looking like an absolute pincushion right now, but as you can see, we're pretty far away from the build site now, so hopefully these guys won't be bothering us anytime soon. Oh, it looks like I missed one skeleton. Come over here, Mr. Skelly. I wouldn't mind getting this guy into the water. Can you... No, the lead broke. Alright, I have another strategy. Give me my lead back first though. I'm gonna attach that on, and then I'll pillar up using some of this granite if I can without him pushing me off. Okay, come on, we can do this. Please don't push me off again, please, please. Alright, I think we're good. Now if we do one jump, are you gonna come into the water? Yes, perfect. Alright, give me my lead back. You can now be the protector of this massive wall. Thank you, Skelly. Leave me alone, please. And don't ask me why, but I also have some turtles over here, so let's get these guys moved over as well. Oh, why is he getting hurt? Why is he getting hurt? No, 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 turtle, get out, get out, get out. Oh, what? Oh, okay, I think we're good now. Let's get these guys moved over. And you know what? I'm just gonna bring these guys inside of the houses we just made. At least they'll be safe and out of our way. The only guy left to deal with now is Sir Bobbington. As you can see, this guy is extra special because I'm trying to look at his eyes. Where are your eyes? See, his eyes are glowing, which makes him like super rare. So that's why I want to build a proper house for him, but I want to get the interior set up before I move him. Well, I just got completely distracted moving all of those guys, but now that they're out of our way and we can build in peace, let's finally get to work on house number 4. For the first floor on this one, I went with one of my favorite blocks at the moment, which is tough, and then for the second floor, I used dark oak and sandstone. I also included a brick chimney, and then for the roof, I used blackstone, which is honestly such an underrated block, especially for roofs. It looks so good. Right beside the main entrance is this window where we still have a little bit of room, so I thought we could do a couple of flower pots and inside some dark oak saplings. This corner over here is also kind of plain, so maybe we can just do like a few barrels and on top a lantern to light up the area. We've pretty much filled in this entire area already, but there is just a little bit more open space right here, so let's try to build one more house. And I just started this one off by creating the foundation out of stone bricks and regular stone. Moving up to the second floor, I went with a really weird block palette consisting of brown wool, netherrack, and mangrove, but somehow it all kind of blends together to create this really nice red looking color. And there we go, the 5th house is in place. I can't really believe though that this is only house number 5, like we're only a quarter done. Once we build the rest of them, this area is gonna look so insane. I was noticing though that we have this sort of like back alley almost between these houses, so I want to tear out all of this grass and place in a proper pathway. And I guess we should have a proper pathway in front of the houses as well, so just while we're at it, let me dig this out too. I was just finishing clearing out the space for the pathways, but I noticed something. Look at this. I missed 2 stairs in our roof. No way. I gotta fix this right now or it's gonna drive me absolutely insane. And there we go. It's all fixed up, looking much better now. And it might be a little bit hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure I have all of the space cleared out for building up the actual pathways, but I just need some, materials to build them, so let's swing by our starter house and go grab those. I'm really hoping I'll have everything that I need in here, but first things first, let's just hop down into our secret storage room. Now that we're down here, we can first grab some brown mushroom blocks. I'll just probably need maybe 4 stacks. And then what else? I'm also going to need some granite, which I should have over here. Perfect. Just going to grab a few stacks of this as well. Heading over to the other side of our storage room, let's pick up some coarse dirt. I have a decent amount amount, I'll just grab like a few stacks as well. And then I'm also going to need a bunch of regular dirt, perfect. And then I'm pretty sure the very last thing I need is some packed mud, and I have 2. I guess we're gonna need to make some more packed mud then, but just before I do that, let's drop some of this into a shulker box just to free up our inventory a little bit. Alright, perfect. Now that we have a bit of space, let's see, do I have any mud in here? I do. Okay, that's a good start at least. And then down at the bottom here, I do have a chest for wheat, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, okay, I have 12 wheat. That is not gonna cut it. All good, we have a big wheat farm right in front of our house, so let's harvest this up. And I wouldn't want to lose my good farmer status, so let me plant this all back in. I got that all filled back in, so let's combine this wheat with the mud that we grabbed earlier to make a bunch of packed mud. But with that, we should have everything that we need, so let's go place in the actual pathway. And big shocker, I just went for the exact same building technique as all of the other pathways in this area, but I think that's a good idea just so that everything looks connected and cohesive. Now that we have these pathways in place, we can start detailing some of these smaller areas, like right here for example, just using some shortgrass and bushes. Over here is another good spot. Maybe I'll just keep this one super simple and just use shortgrass. However, to make it a tad bit safer, I will just add a bit of glow lichen to light up the area. This is also a good opportunity to introduce more color into the area, so let's dot a few of these cornflowers around. As I mentioned earlier, we sort of have this like back alley area now, which is already looking super cozy just with the pathway in place, but I do want to start adding some smaller decorations, and maybe we can just begin by doing a stack of hay over here. I think that's looking pretty good, and I did notice that this section right here is kind of empty, so let's create a table using a couple of birch stairs, a piece of scaffolding, and on top let's do a lantern. I'm a little bit worried though that one lantern isn't going to be enough to brighten up this whole area, so let's do a couple trapdoors right here and hang another lantern off of that. And with that in place, let's mark out some locations where we can have some planter boxes. And normally I would surround these with trapdoors, but now that we have shelves, I want to use them, and those look so good. What? Those look really, really good. As for what we're planting in them, I thought we could do some of these sweet berries and then mix those in with bushes, and once these grow, it should kind of sell the effect of some tomato plants, which is, you know, kind of a vibe. I'm not 100% sure how realistic of a spot this is for like a garden, you know, having all of these houses around it would probably be blocking a lot of the sunlight, but I think it looks cozy and cool, so let's roll with it. We still do have a little bit of space back here, so let's create a different type of planter box, this time using grass blocks and acacia trapdoors, and then on top we can plant some dark oak saplings, which is maybe just some like basil or some type of plant like that. And I cannot help myself, so let's take a little stroll through this alley, and it is such a vibe back here. This is honestly like one of my favorite locations in our entire world now, I think. Moving right along, we still have a bit of space right here, so let's just create another table using the exact same design, which is of course a couple of birch stairs, a piece of scaffolding, and on top let's do another lantern. And then right in front of this orange house, we have like a pretty decent sized green space, so let's just start by detailing it with some shortgrass. I think this is already looking pretty good, and I also mixed in a few ferns as well. But anyway, my plan for this area is to build some custom trees, so just in preparation, I am gonna dot a bit of this leaf litter around just to kind of make it look a little bit more realistic. But with that leaf litter in place, I was happy with the level of detail on the ground, so I went ahead and built up a few small spruce trees. I feel like I always say this, but just a couple of trees can completely transform an area. But anyway, I had just one more decoration idea for this area, and that's a lamppost, so let's just start off with a wall and get ourselves a little bit higher. And then on top of that wall, we can do 3 fences, a slab, and a trapdoor. And then last but not least, a lantern to finish it off, and there we go, pretty nice lamppost design. Right beside our yellow house, I was noticing it was a little bit plain still, so maybe let's just dot a few of these rose bushes around, and maybe I'll even mix in some of these red tulips as well. We don't really have too many light sources in this area, so maybe we can do another lamppost right here, but I might switch this design up just a little bit. Not by much though, I'm just gonna do 3 fences again, another slab, but this time I'll have a trapdoor on either side if I can reach, there we go. And this is a good time to see the difference it's gonna make, but let's add a couple of lanterns, and there we go, really helps light up the area. And if we just ignore the box for Sir Bobbington, this first kind of block of houses that we made is looking absolutely awesome now. I could not be happier with how this turned out. And I want to get started on gathering up all the materials to build the rest of the houses over here, but before we can do that, we need to solve a serious problem that we have. Taking a look in our inventory, you can see I have just 4 rockets left, which is, you know, not very good. That is going to make it very difficult to get around our world. And usually I would just grab some extra rockets from the shulker, that's where I keep all of my, you know, extras, but it is completely empty right now. I guess let's take a look inside of our starter house, see if I have any gunpowder in here, and I do not. Are you starting to realize the issue yet? I am cooked. I guess let's use one of our 4 final rockets to fly over to the desert so we can check our gunpowder farm. A few episodes ago, we built this pyramid and hit a gunpowder farm in it, but I'm not really in this area a whole lot, so I'm not hopeful that there's any in here. That is not good, and that is, oh, we got 5. Okay, that's something. But let's be real, for a nearly 2,000 day hardcore Minecraft world, only having 5 gunpowder is a little bit embarrassing. Like, let's swing over to our sugarcane farm, grab some sugarcane from here, and see exactly how many rockets this is gonna make. Just turned that into some paper so we can go boom and boom, and that gives us 18 rockets in total. Wow. I think our creeper farm will be a lot more efficient if we build an AFK platform high above it. That way the caves and stuff won't be loaded in, and hopefully we'll get more creeper spawns. But before we get to that, I just want to double check that all of our cats are like still in place and the farm is working properly. It's a little bit hard to navigate down here, but I think we can just pillar up and this will get us kind of to where the actual farm is. Oh man, why are there a bunch of spiders back here? What is going on? Maybe let's just throw a few more torches back here just to like double ensure that nothing else is going to be spawning. I am very scared to dig in here. There might be some creepers, but we gotta do it. Alright, kitty, are you good there? You seem okay. Let's just maybe close those for now. This cat looks good too. Alright. I just want to make sure that these guys aren't going to get knocked around though, as I think that's going to break the farm, so I'm just going to surround them with some trapdoors. So you as well, kitty, just going to surround you with some trapdoors. I'm sorry, but it's for your own good. I think the first layer of the farm is looking okay at least, so let's check layer number 2. This cat seems fine. Just gonna surround him with some trapdoors again. There you go, little guy. Well, look on this side though. This cat is completely out of place. That is not good. We need to knock him back onto the carpet. Get onto the carpet. There you go. And we can just surround this guy with some trapdoors as well. Alright, but that's layer number 2 all fixed up. So let's check the third and final layer. This cat is a little bit out of place. Oh, this is Kirby. Kirby, what's up? Get back on the carpet, Kirby. Oh man, for some reason, having like a named cat in this farm just seems kind of wrong for some reason, but that's okay. Stay in the box. And this cat is also out of place. No way. Get back on the carpet, please. But I think all of our layers are looking okay now, so let's get out of here before any creepers spawn. And let me also place this copper back in before I forget, but there we go, the farm is all patched up again. But you know what, dealing with those cats just reminded me of something. We need to go check in on my real life cats. If you haven't seen one of my videos before, I like to use my 2 cats, Munchie and Mittens, to guilt trip all of you into liking the video. Is it a little bit shameless? Maybe. Am I gonna keep doing it every single video? You bet that I am. Seriously though, just taking a quick second to like the video and maybe double checking if you're subscribed or not is such a big way to support this channel, so I really do appreciate it. Alright, but getting back to Minecraft, let's get to work on building up this AFK platform so we can really take this gunpowder farm to the next level. We're just gonna need a few materials to build it though, so let's quickly swing back to the base. And our first pit stop is over at our lumber mill, where upstairs we have all of our wood storage. And I'm thinking we can go for kind of like a hot air balloon, so I just want to grab some of this spruce wood, and I'm also going to grab some of this pale oak. And then I'll turn that into a few different things like some fences, shelves, and trapdoors. Moving right along, we're also going to need to grab a few materials from our secret storage room. First of which is some diorite. I'm going to grab maybe a couple of stacks, and I will turn one of these stacks into some stairs. And then the very last thing we need is some white wool. Do I have any in here? I actually do. Okay, let's grab I'll just grab all of this, why not? With that, we should have everything that we need, so let's head back to the actual gunpowder farm. Alright, here we are. And I want this thing to be like really high above this pyramid, so let's just start by placing down a bunch of scaffolding. Holy, look at this thing. That has gotta be high enough, right? I don't know why, but my palms are a little bit sweaty up here, but we do have an awesome view of our desert city, and you can even see our castle a little bit from here. That is super cool. Alright, but enough stalling, let's finally build up this AFK platform. Believe it or not, I have never made a hot air balloon before, so I had a really fun time putting this one together, and for my first one, I honestly think it came out pretty decent. It's a little bit hard to see from down here, but there's just one last thing to do, and that's take down the scaffolding. Alright, the scaffolding is all gone, and I took a step back so we can see it, and check that out. Our hot air balloon looks so cool. But as cool as it looks, I want to see how efficient this farm is if we actually use the platform, so let's take out all of this gunpowder and do a test. And then now's the tricky part. I need to fly all the way up there and try to land on it. Come on, I can do this. My elytra flying skills are terrible. Let's try this again. I can do it. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna AFK for maybe like 10 or 20 minutes, and then we can see how much gunpowder we get. Alright, I AFK'd for about 2. Oh my goodness! Wait, what? Look at this, so many creepers. Okay, this is working out for sure. Holy, I was not expecting that. How much gunpowder do we have? A stack in there and 2 stacks in here. That is crazy. Yeah, this was about 2 days of AFKing, so this farm is finally working now. The AFK platform definitely was a good idea. You know what? I cannot help myself. Let's grab some sugarcane and make a bunch of rockets right now. So I'll first make a bunch of paper using the sugarcane, and then we can make a bunch of rockets. And I think it's about time that we make ourselves a dedicated shulker box for rockets, so let's dye one white. And then we can just place this down and put all of our spare rockets in it. Alright, sweet, and then we can just throw the shulker box inside of our ender chest, and finally we don't have to worry about rockets for a while. And now that we can fly around our world without stressing too much, I think it's about time to gather up all the materials to build the rest of the houses. And I think let's start off with the wood materials first, and I am gonna need some dark oak, so let's just head over to this dark oak forest and chop some of these down. And I also want some of the strip logs too, so I'm just gonna do that right now to save us some time later when we're actually building. I got a little bit carried away and crafted all of the smaller bits and bobs that we need, so let's throw this all into a shulker box to stay organized. And let's also be a good tree chopper and replant some of these dark oak trees so we can harvest them again in the future. But with all of those dark oak blocks gathered up, let's move on to the next wood type that we need, which is jungle. I don't think I need nearly as much of this stuff though, so I'm just gonna chop down a few trees and then we should be good to go. Jungle trees have been chopped, and just like earlier, I got a tad bit carried away and crafted everything too, so let's throw this in the shulker box as well. Moving right along, we're also going to need a bunch of oak, so let's chop down a few of these trees too. And I know, big shocker, I also need a lot more spruce, so I'm gonna chop down some of these trees too. And I think the very last wood material we need is cherry, and I don't really want to destroy the very small cherry forest that I kind of have behind my base, so I'm just gonna manually plant some of these, and because I'm impatient, just gonna grow them with some bone meal. And can't forget the most important step, let's cut them down. But this pretty much takes care of all of our wood materials, so I decided to lock in and run around our various storage rooms, crafting and gathering up the rest of the blocks that we're going to need. I'm not even gonna lie, I've been crafting for the past like 2 hours, maybe even a little bit longer, but I think I got most of the stuff that we need, probably like 95%, but there is just a few more things that we need to gather up. First of which is some deep slate, which we can of course grab from underground, and look at this, I have already dug out so much space just gathering deep slate, but I guess let's make this hole a little bit bigger and gather up some more. No way, some diamonds? Let's see, how many do we get? 1, 2... Okay, maybe just 2 diamonds? No, it's 3 diamonds, let's go. Just 3 diamonds, but I do have fortune on this pick, so let's see, 8 diamonds out of that. That is a nice little bonus, thank you game. Alright, but shiny blue diamond distraction aside, let's get back to mining some deep slate. Several stacks of deep slate have been obtained, so let's turn some into these, what are these called? The deep slate brick stairs. I think I just need about 3 stacks, and then I'll also just make some of the regular deep slate bricks. Something else I need are some weathered trapdoors, and I did place a bunch down here in our secret storage room so they can age, and look at this, one of them is ready at least. Let's wax that and pick it up. But unfortunately, a lot of these are, you know, still aging. There's another one over here though, so I'll wax this guy, and thank you very much. I think that was the last one that was ready though, so while we continue to wait for the rest of these to age, let's go set up the nether hub that I talked about at the start of this video. And I'm pretty sure I already have everything that we're gonna need to set this up except for obsidian to build the actual portals, so let me just gather some of this up and then we can get to it. As you can see, I got almost 2 stacks of obsidian plus everything else that we're gonna need, so let's head into the nether. And I'm planning on setting up new portals on the nether roof, so our first step is to break all of our old ones. And I don't really have too many important portals set up, maybe just like 3 or 4, so this should only take a minute. Now that all of those are taken care of, the next step is to get ourselves onto the nether roof, which I've never done before, but you know, we'll give it a try, see if we can make it work. Also, digging straight up in the nether with no fire res is probably like one of the dumbest things that I've done, but should be fine, right? Now that we're up at bedrock, we need to find a piece that goes like very high. This one actually right here might work. I think this piece of bedrock should work, so let's just place down some ladders. Alright, now I think all we have to do is look at this block right here and throw an ender pearl and... Wait, it's that easy? It is that easy, that is so cool, what? Alright, we're on the nether roof, let's go. Alright, so let's first set up our home base portal again, so I'll come up, what do I need to come up, like 4 blocks I think? You really think I would know how to make a portal by now. Anyway, let's just mob proof this by placing down some trapdoors. Alright, now the moment of truth, if I light this up and hop through, are we gonna go home? I really hope so. Yes, that brought us back home, that is perfect. And let's also make sure this works from the overworld side. If I hop through, we should hopefully end up on the roof. And there we go, we ended up on the roof again, that is perfect. Before we get carried away setting up the rest of the portals, I do want to try to break a piece of bedrock just so that we can go up and down into the actual nether if we need to. And this is also something that I have never done before, so I'm really hoping that it's gonna work. I think we just need to do a trapdoor right here and a lever right above that. I don't know why I'm so nervous right now, let me just double check. I do have my chest plate on, okay, I think we should be good. Alright, this is so scary, but we gotta flick this lever, ignite the TNT, oh my goodness, I gotta get under here, and then spam click pistons. Okay, I failed. Well, that's kind of annoying, but I did bring materials for 2 more tries, so let's give this another go. Alright, attempt number 2. I am so scared. Okay, I can do this, Please. Wait, I think we did it. I think we did it. All we gotta do is break this piston, and yes, we broke bedrock. What? We actually just broke bedrock so we can go up and down now. That is so insane. But now that we're no longer, you know, trapped up here on the nether roof, let's set up the rest of the portals. Alright, so if my coordinates are correct, we're gonna have another one right here, and my hope is that this one will bring us to the stronghold. And just to kind of tie into that theme, let's do some endstone at the top here so we can remember. But let's hop through and hopefully it's gonna work. And sweet, that brought us straight to the stronghold, so we can easily just, oh, silverfish, get out of here, double silverfish, what? As I was trying to say, now we can easily just hop into the end, you know, repair our gear and stuff, and then hop back through, and hopefully this will bring us back to the nether roof. Oh my goodness, a silverfish followed us, get out of here, dude. 2 silverfish again, what is going on? Okay, but sweet, we now have our stronghold portal, and then just off in the distance is our home base portal, so it's gonna be a really easy travel in between the two. And let's carry on and set up the next portal. This one right here is gonna take us to the ocean where our raid farm is. I mean, that's if it works though. Let's light this up and hop through. This is so awesome. We haven't had a single issue with any of these portals yet. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but as you can see, our raid farm is just over there in the distance. Alright, but with that, let's head back through, and we have just one more portal to set up. And if my coordinates are correct, the very final one should go right here. And I'm feeling pretty confident that this one should take us to the swamp, but let's double check. And check us out, we got all 4 portals linked up first try. That is so awesome. As you can see though, we have a regular swamp over here as well as a mangrove swamp on the other side. And while we're here, I actually do need to grab a few materials for our houses, the first of which is some mangrove wood. You might be wondering why I need all this mangrove, and I just want to turn it into some mangrove stairs. And then the other thing I wanted to grab while we're out here are some of these blue orchids. If you didn't know, this is my absolute favorite flower in the game, and they're kind of hard to get because you can only get them in the swamp. But I brought a lot of bone meal with me, so we can just use that to get a bunch of them. But with some blue orchids and mangrove wood obtained, let's head back to the nether roof. And you know what, let's do a little test. How long does it take us to go from our swamp portal over to our home base portal? A couple of rockets and maybe like 10 seconds. That is honestly so convenient. But anyway, let's head back home. Home sweet home, and I can't believe it, but there's only one more material that we need to build all of our houses, and that's the rest of the trapdoors down here, and hopefully they've aged. Okay, sweet, we got a couple of them that have aged at least. That is very, very good. And there was a couple more kind of hidden over by our water elevator, so let's grab these 2. So we have 6 right now, so this one right here will be 7, 6, 7, I guess. And honestly, I think 7 should be enough, so let's just get rid of the rest of these. And I already brought the rest of the materials over to the build site, but let's just add these to maybe the shulker box right here, and with that, we have all the materials we need to build 15 more houses. I'm super excited to get these all in place though, so let's get to building. For the first house, I went with a bit of a smaller size, and for the block palette, I just used packed mud and mud bricks for the foundation, spruce and oak for the second floor, and deep slate for the roof. Jumping right into the next one, I wanted to go for something a lot more colorful, so I tried mixing crimson with purple terracotta, which works surprisingly well. And moving right along to the next one, this house is super special, as this is where I plan on building the interior for Sir Bobbington. As for the exterior though, I created a whitewashed look using pale oak and calcite, and then capped the whole thing off with some of the mangrove that we got. And before we build the interior, I just want to build one more house, and for this one, I used stone and stone bricks for the foundation, jungle and oak for the second floor, and dark oak for the roof. I gotta say, these first 4 houses though are looking super awesome. They all complement each other really well and just kind of fit together perfectly. And of course it's raining now, but that's all good as we're gonna head inside and work on the interior for Sir Bobbington. And I think let's just begin by tearing out the floor so we can place in a proper one. And for the floor itself, I think we can just go for some of these tough bricks mixed with tuff. That always looks good. There we go, the floor is all in place, so let's work on the ceiling next. And I just want to go from one of my classic designs, which begins with building a horizontal beam across the top. And then with that in place, let's just fill in the rest with some upside down spruce stairs. And we're definitely gonna need some lighting in here, so let's start off with some chains. And then you guessed it, we're gonna hang some lanterns right off of those, so boop and boop. And then let's give this guy the Minecraft essentials, which are of course a bed, a crafting table, furnace, and chest. And then I really don't want him to escape, so let's just enclose this area with some glass. Guess I should leave a bit of a hole though, just so we can get him in here. But now all that's left to do is bring this guy inside. This might be a little bit tricky to get him inside. I'm just gonna take some damage. Owie, owie, owie. I'm trapped in here. Let me out, dude. Let me out, let me out, let me out. All right, let's put this glass back and then very carefully try to break this boat. And check out this pro move that I'm gonna do to get the boat back. Look at this. Boop, and then we're back out. I hope you enjoy your new house, Sir Bobbington. Rent is 5,000 emeralds a month. If it's late, I'm doubling it. And while Sir Bobbington settles into his new home, let's get back to work as we have so many more houses to build. And these next 3 houses are pretty tucked away, so I'm just gonna go ahead and build them up, and then I can show you them in a bit closer detail from the ground. Dude, this looks so cool now with all of these new houses in place. It's like so immersive just walking down this pathway. I absolutely love it. And I've really been pushing myself to make every single one of these houses unique, so you can see we have a red one here, another wood one, but this time using some jungle wood. And next to that, I even tried to create some green walls, which I don't think I've ever tried before, but honestly pretty happy with the result. Overall though, just super cozy and immersive to walk through this area. And this brings us up to 10 houses total, but the last time I checked, 10 does not equal 20, so let's get back to work and build up a couple more. And there we go, we got ourselves 2 brand new houses, and this is pretty prime real estate right at the end of the block. I want to add just a few more details though to take the area to the next level, and I was thinking we could do some leaves right here to kind of look like a vine growing up the wall. And right past that, we have this sort of nook in between 2 of the houses, so I thought we could create a bit of a cover using some campfires, and let's just extinguish those of course, don't want the houses catching on fire. But anyway, let's make it look a little bit more supported with some gates, and then at the bottom we can do some barrels, maybe just like that, and a lantern to light up the area. Moving right along, we have this open spot right here, so I thought we could just make use of our leaves again to kind of cover it up and make it look a little bit nicer. Already that's looking a whole lot better, but let's take it even one step further by dotting a bit of short grass around, and I also want to include some of these orange tulips, which should add a bit of color. Something I love about this area is that in between the 2 houses we have this hidden spot, which is super fun. And we should be able to make it a little bit more hidden using some pale moss, and to help with that effect even more, I'll turn some of this short grass into tall grass. 99% of people walking by would have no idea, but of course we know that we can come inside of here to find the secret spot. And I already know exactly what I want to put in there, just need to borrow this guy. Come on, you can't tell me this isn't the perfect spot for another one of our Halloween mobs, and look at this, I have the perfect name for him. Maybe I should have thought this one out. I'm just gonna get sniped now every single time I walk by this area, but you know what, that's fine. That's enough distractions though, we still have so many more houses to build over on this side, so let's lock back in and get to it. The awesome thing about these next few houses is that they all have waterside views. The really tricky part was just trying to get them to line up correctly since they're flush with the houses beside and behind them. I think we did a pretty good job though, if I do say so myself, and it's a little bit hard to believe, but this brings us up to 19 houses. That means we have just one more to build at the very end here. Before we get completely carried away though, patching up the end of the block, I had just one more detail that I wanted to add over here. And my idea was that since we have this covered area in between 2 of the houses, we can do some weeping vines, hanging roots, and glowberries. And we can of course stop these from growing all the way using some shears. And along with that, I'll also bone meal a few of these to add a bit of lighting. I love how lush that is, and right below it, I was thinking we could make a table. Shelves make great legs, and I'm just capping it off with some trapdoors. And you can't have a table without chairs, so let's just create some simple ones using birch stairs. We already have this massive retaining wall in front of these houses that we just built, but it's kind of plain at the moment, so I want to go ahead and build up some docks. And I kept the design pretty simple for this one, just used some oak logs and a bunch of spruce wood. This is super fun now though, you can just take this staircase right down to the dock where there's a bunch of details like some crab cages, a bunch of barrels, and at the very end I even put some kelp. There was just one more thing that I wanted to add, and that's some boats. Alright, but with this dock all finished up, I think it's about time to lock in and build up the final house. I cannot believe we are already on house 20, but for this final one, I decided to go for a dark purple theme, which looks super sweet. But now that every single house is built, I can't help myself any longer. I want to take a look at these with some shaders on. And honestly, it is just such a vibe walking through here now. I have always wanted to make a dense neighborhood like this that you can just, walk through and feel immersed, and I'm super glad that we finally did it. However, we still do have a bunch of space right here in front of our castle, so let me know if you have any build ideas. But as always, if you want to explore this world for yourself, you can get the world download on my Patreon or by joining as a tier 2 member right here on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching, happy building, and I'll see all of you in the next video.